It's the starting lineup. Kip Keefer, Tony Curry, the legend, and Case Keefer bring it every week.
The coaches don't like what's going on.
Fellas, wow. Congratulations.
Weather is of universal appeal. It affects you and everybody watching.
Because you're real, legend. You're authentic. You've lived it.
You never know who's going to be in the starting lineup.
The starting lineup, 10:30 to 11 on ABC 3340 every Saturday morning. For the next 16 days, it is madness, my friends. It culminates April 7th, the Alamo Dome. This is our special March Madness edition of the starting lineup. Kip Keefer, Kai Gregory from SPS, Southern Precision Staffing. I'm Tony Curry, and welcome to the madness as it begins again today. We've got 14 teams in the SEC to start the tournament. And you know, something I was thinking about too, isn't it nice to know that at least for right now, Alabama, Auburn, and UAB, to an extent, should be in the postseason every year from here on out, as long as they don't screw with the coaching staffs. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which it wasn't like that for years. I mean, you never knew if you were going to make an NIT bid if you were an Alabama fan.
And
now you pretty much know.
That, nobody in Alabama cared.
No, really, that's true. It really is true. And Alabama and
now
Auburn.
It's an obsession.
We're going to have all kinds of great details, including two teams in the last 20 years who did not have blue on their uniform. Has won a national title, that being Baylor and Louisville. Baylor and Louisville, the only two teams not to have blue on their uniform in the last 20 years. We do know something, and it used to be you used to fill out the bracket and you just move the ones in. Well, now twice we had a 16-seed knockoff of 1 seed, so you can't do that anymore. We know that 2-15 matchup. For only the third time in history, we have a 12 seed actually favored over a 5 seed in Colorado State, which is unbelievable. And people are like, wait a minute, isn't it 12-5? How are they? That's kind of strange. So we got that going on. And, of course, on top of that, something that's a little strange, too, is we've never had a 5-seed national champion. We've had an 8 all the way down.
What is it about the 5 seed? It's like the worst place you could possibly draw.
And 5's always been kind of a nasty number in gambling, too, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, talk about that just a little bit, because I know that we do have K4wins.com, K4wins.com. Great website, free website. Please subscribe to it, K4wins.com. You'll get all of our plays here on the show, and, of course, any shows we have over the next 16 days, and we'll have a ton of them. By the way, what are we hitting on the year?
We're 262, 134, and 3.
That's about 67%, something like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we talked about it on the podcast the other day. We'll be talking about it more, but the futures that we hit in the conference tourney, we hit St. John's, Florida, Duke, Houston. Everybody goes, okay, well, big deal, and Memphis. But then we also had Gonzaga, which got it done. We've already got some futures posted already for the tournament. Obviously, they keep up with it and kind of go from there. Florida, which is not really stepping out. Duke, which is not really stepping out. But just for the legend, we got Alabama at 17-1 with the draw they have, and then a 50-1 Arizona, just in case they happen to get there and get past Duke.
Gonzaga's been to the second weekend at 9 straight tournaments. It's one of those basketball teams. A lot of people aren't talking about them. What are some other teams, Kip, that going into March Madness, a lot of people aren't talking about that could be some critters? Could be, I don't even want to say a dark horse, because I think of a team like Michigan State, where your coach has been to 8 Final Fours. They hardly creep up on anybody, but no one's talking about the Spartans this year.
You know, there's a lot of teams out west that we don't see in this part of the country very often, but there's some teams getting a lot of love, like Colorado State and some of the others like Utah State, teams from the Mountain West.
Yeah.
So that's not where we usually go. Of course, Gonzaga has distinguished themselves for a number of years. But yeah, it's really there's really a lot of different schools that I had to look up. Bryant, who of course didn't last very long, but Bryant is from Rhode Island. I had no idea. Has there ever been, I know Providence has been to the tournament some, but
you got the Antelopes of Grand Canyon. You got some
the Antelopes.
Yeah.
Grand Canyon is the bomb. Their women and men are both in their tournaments. Remember, Grand Canyon was a tough out last year for Alabama on their way to the Final Four.
I thought Grand Canyon was just an online service for getting a master's degree. I never knew. I know they're the Antelopes.
Well, High Point also is always advertising their mail it in campaign, and they've got a basketball team in the
UC San Diego that gets in there in their first year of being eligible, and their men and their women
too.
Both get in. It's the third team. Yeah, but it's the third team in the last 50 years.
That's
they get
amazing.
in, and their men and women do it. Tony Curry, useless facts to get into for the weekend. Number 2 seeds only made the final once in the last 11 years.
How about that?
And everybody knows that it puts up with our podcast for that. I'm a Tennessee fan. Rick Barnes is 22-35. in March going into the tournament.
30, we were talking about that before. He's been coaching for 38 years and has been to one Final Four. And we've had the discussion numerous times now, whose fault is that? And of course, he went every single year at Texas. It was guaranteed he was going to get 20 wins, but he was always going to get bounced in the first and second round of the tournament. He gets fired, and what has Texas done since? When they get knocked off by my Xavier Musketeers in the first round. So
epic collapse by Texas.
Give me some other useless facts. I love these things.
Auburn, Duke, Houston, Florida, Tennessee, Alabama, Michigan State, St. John's, the 1 and 2 seeds. It's probably the strongest group of 1 and 2 seeds ever, and they said that the 2 seeds would have been 1 seeds every other year going into this year.
Wow.
148 quad 1 and 2 wins.
That's amazing stuff. We got a full show, and we're going to be doing a very special segment with Kip and Case. Of course, Case, the executive director, editor of the Las Vegas Sun. Kip and his son, Case, does fantastic work. They're going to be a special segment and breaking down these games a little bit later on the show.
I'm going to slip into the Zoom studio here nearby, get with Case Keefer. We're going to go over all the matchups today, give you our opinions on that. We've already consulted with our peeps here, and we're going to bring you that coming up in just a few minutes.
Go to K4Wins.com for all of our plays. It changes almost by the hour, and stay tuned to the starting lineup.
Welcome to the round of 32 on this Saturday morning. We're just about 40 minutes away from the tip-off of the first game of the day. We're through the first 2 preliminary, the 64 round. Half the field has already gone home. Kip Keefer here in the Zoom studio at ABC 3340 with Case Keefer standing by in Las Vegas. We're going to give you a complete rundown on the things to look for on this Saturday. Case, as you look at the matchups after the Thursday action, which one jumps out at you? For me, I'll just share the Patino Calipari showdown is pretty compelling.
Yeah, certainly that one would be on the short list, but I think if you just are talking about one, there's a clear answer here. I'm not one for hyperbole mainly, but I think it's one of the best round of 32 matchups you could ever possibly have. It's incredibly unfair to the number 1 seed, but Houston Gonzaga, I mean, if you go by any metrics, I mean, these are 2 of the top 8 teams in the country. Gonzaga always kind of hamstrung by being in the West Coast Conference, and this year, they have 3 overtime losses, and they go all the way down to an 8 seed, whereas, I mean, analytically, this is like a 2 or 3 seed. So Houston Gonzaga, to me, is the number 1 game in terms of going to be highly executed, 2 absolute great teams. But storyline wise, Arkansas St. John's is great. It'll be good to see Wisconsin and BYU, a ton of talent in that game. Open to straight pick 'em. So there's a lot of good ones, but as far as the future of the tournament, because I think Houston can win the whole thing easily, and I think Gonzaga is a Final Four contender. I think Houston Gonzaga is the kind of biggest inflection point on today's slate.
Did Gonzaga deserve to be banished to the 8th seed? I still don't understand. I know they were not as good as they normally are, but that seems like an awful far drop from grace for a team that's been to 9 consecutive Sweet 16s?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to pile on the selection committee like everyone else, because I think for a large part they did a pretty good job this year. I think the brackets are pretty balanced, but I thought that was one that they just severely missed on. However, it kind of did fit with their rubric, what they're supposed to be going off of. They didn't do great in the quad 1 games. Like I said, I think they had 5 losses, which their strength of schedule wasn't great, but you just got to look a little bit closer. Like I said, they lost every game that went into overtime if they win in. So that's a bunch of coin flips they lost. They lost 2 games to St. Mary's, but one of them, St. Mary's, made 60% of their threes. You're not going to beat any good team when they're making 60% of their threes. So it just took a little bit bigger look under the hood to know that they shouldn't be an 8, but it was kind of writing was on the wall all the way to the end of the year. You knew probably Gonzaga and UConn were going to be 8s, and those were the teams the ones wanted to avoid. But to me, I mean, it was always Gonzaga, number 1 with a bullet. I knew whoever got the 1 seed next to them, it was going to be a sweat. And of course, it's the team that I've pounded my chest on all year and said Houston's just as good as all these other teams. And I still contend with that, even if they lose to Gonzaga today. But this is going to be this is a really tough game, and I think pretty unfair to the number 1 seed to have to take on a team like Gonzaga this early.
Well, speaking of unfair, I think Georgia was listening to the pregame broadcast because the Z group that was doing the play-by-play on that game on True TV, I have no idea who any of them were. We're talking about what a poor three-point shooting team Gonzaga has been in recent games, including only making one in the finals of their conference tournament. They blitzed Georgia with like 11 three-pointers in the first half.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of goes what I just said in reverse. I said you're not going to beat a team when they make 60% of their threes, like Gonzaga wasn't going to beat St. Mary's. And I don't even really think Georgia played that bad. And I know probably Georgia fans are griping, or down there they're getting some crap because they've looked bad at times. But I don't think there was anyone almost that was beating Gonzaga today.
No, that was ridiculous.
The good news for Houston is they've had the best defense in the nation for like the last 5 years. There's a lot of randomness with three-point shooting. For instance, there's only so much you can do. If you have a hot game like that, they're going to win again. But it's really rare that you get two of those back to back. So I do think they'll cool off a little bit against Houston, but it shows what they're capable of. And honestly, I mean, Georgia probably got discouraged and could have kept it a little closer, but I just think there was no way they were winning that game today. They got put into a grinder there.
Yeah, terrible matchup. BYU advanced, as you said. I know you've been high on their opponent today, but that was not a very good matchup for that squad either. So a couple of really tough draws for some really good teams, because VCU was impressive coming into this.
Yeah, well, I have to give a shout out to the Vegas Heaters that we always have on here. VCU does come through for us. I gave them out to win the A10 tournament. They won that easily, but I also had 75-1 on them to make the Final Four. They were the only Final Four bet I made before I had seen the brackets. I still think that's a good bet. I'd take it again. It just so much comes down to draw and matchup, and I told you in a group text we're in that as much as I love VCU, I just hated this matchup for them. I mean, people see BYU, and I feel like they think back to 10 or 15 years ago when it was like the scrappy Mountain West Jimmer Fredette, like not a whole lot of talent. Next year, they're going to have the biggest NIL budget in the country. They have the number one recruit coming there, AJ Divanasta.
No kidding.
They're paying him like $9 million. Wow. They got a lottery pick this year, Igor Dimon. I mean, this team is like can play with anyone, and to go up against VCU, which is more methodical, wants to play defense, and it was in elevation, which I think is a huge advantage. And then VCU had to play Sunday in their conference championship game, fly out to Denver. BYU's used to the elevation, so I think that was a big big leg up for BYU. And now it's kind of the same thing with Wisconsin. I'm really high on Wisconsin too. I think if anyone knocks off Duke, I probably shouldn't say this on an Alabama TV, but I'm more scared of Wisconsin if I'm Duke than Alabama. To be honest, I have Wisconsin beating Alabama in my bracket, but I do think this is a coin toss. Like I said, it opened to pick 'em. I would lean Wisconsin there, but just two great high executing offenses. John Tonje, the Colorado State transfer, wound up at Wisconsin. He's been unbelievable this year, but like I said, BYU has some guys too. So as far as just like aesthetically pleasing, I think this will be up and down. I do favor Wisconsin ever so slightly, but again, I do think that elevation of playing in Denver is a little bit of an advantage for BYU. So I think that's probably the game I'm looking second most forward to today, behind Houston and Gonzaga.
Well, staying in SEC country here, right in the backyard, I've seen several grumblings on my social media about Auburn. The Auburn Nation was so confident 3 or 4 weeks ago, coming as the season was winding down. They did win today by 20, but people were kind of saying they didn't look that great. What was your take on Auburn, and what do you think about their game today?
Yeah, I didn't think they looked good either, and I didn't watch them super closely today. I didn't have much eyes on that game, but I did see some people say that they didn't even look prepared for it, which makes sense to me. Now, I'm not going where you think I'm going if you watch this program or our K4 wins. I'm just not a big Bruce Pearl guy tactically.
Yes.
I know he's done a great job at Auburn, great job building the program, but I just don't trust him like in the tournament in these big spots. So that's actually not what I would take out of them not looking prepared today. I just think it was Alabama State. I'm sure they put together some kind of a scouting report, but I don't think they went all in on trying to make sure they had every tendency down on Alabama State. I think they were kind of looking ahead to this game as the coaching staff. I'm sure they had much more stuff deployed towards watching Creighton and Louisville. They knew they were going to have a tough round of 32 games. So I do expect a better effort here. But hey, it's not just Alabama where people are skeptical of Auburn. These were the first 2 games done on Thursday. So it was the first line that was up. I saw Auburn open 10.5-point favorite at a lot of national sports books. They're all the way down to 8.5 a few hours later. So people are coming in on Creighton. I feel like this is kind of a get right spot for Auburn. I would expect them certainly to win the game. I'm not necessarily saying lay 8.5, but for my skepticism, criticism of Pearl, I've really come around a lot on Doug McDermott. I think he gets, Greg McDermott, excuse me, Doug, of course, his son. I think he's become a much better coach over the years. I mean, Creighton's had kind of a nightmare season. Early in the year, they lose Pop Isaacs, a kid from here, Texas Tech transfer, who I thought was probably going to be their second best player next to Kalkbrenner this year. He's out for the year. I kind of wrote Creighton off at that point. They were like 500, didn't think they were going to be any good. They changed their style, and they've been a thorn in everyone's side. So, and they just blew out Louisville today. Obviously, they had a good shooting game as well.
Wow.
So it's a tough round of 32 matchup. I do expect Auburn to get right here. But, just about everyone is kind of out on Auburn. It'll be interesting to see how they respond.
Speaking of Texas Tech, they jacked up 46 threes in their game. I've never seen a game like that before. The one kid at one point had not even tried a two. He had put up 21 three-pointers. That's all he'd done.
Yeah, great segue. We didn't even plan this, but I kind of have similar feelings about Texas Tech as I do Auburn. By all accounts, Chance McMillan, who's probably their second most important player, it sounded like he was ready to go. He practiced all week, and they ended up holding him out of this game. To me, I would be kind of shocked if he doesn't end up playing against Drake in the round of 32. I think it was kind of precautionary. I think they thought they could get by Wilmington, and they're going to really go at it from here. I think Texas Tech is a sleeping giant in this whole tournament. I know I might be alone on that, but I love their coach, Grant McCasland. I really like their personnel. I don't think they looked great against Wilmington, obviously. I know they still ended up winning by 12 or 13 or whatever it was. But
it was a struggle.
Yeah, Wilmington gave them all they can handle, and I think Texas Tech always has really good game plans. I think they might have been in kind of that Auburn mode where they kind of took this for granted, probably. I think they thought they were going to get past Wilmington. I think you'll get a truer effort against Drake, and I think Texas Tech could really make some noise. I know everyone's picking all the number one seeds in the Final Four, and I can't even really blame everyone this year because it's so top-heavy in college basketball, but I don't think that's going to happen. There was one team that I had to pick to crash it, and for me, that was Texas Tech. I think they're the second-best team in this region. I think they can beat anyone. We'll see with McMillan back and Darian Williams getting a little bit healthier if they can turn it up. So it wasn't a great round of 64 appearance.
Not a great day for the SEC. As you just mentioned, Drake took Missouri down. I don't think anybody's really shocked by that if you knew Drake was a quality team. But Missouri just seemed to peak after that Alabama game about 3/4 way through the season. I just don't think they were the same team down the stretch.
Yeah, there's been several teams this year that I feel like there's these huge spikes where they look absolutely great for a few weeks and then crash back down. And yet Drake, just lethal execution, and that clearly frustrated Missouri. They were able to slow it down, play their pace a little bit. So yeah, I definitely wasn't shocked in that. I thought Missouri would get right here. I thought the players were better, higher quality enough than Drake that they'd be able to get it done. But hey, Drake plays smart, doesn't make mistakes, and that cost Missouri. We'll see if they can take out a Big 12 team. Like I said, I'm really high on Texas Tech. I know they opened a 9.5-point favorite against Drake in that game, which is right where I made it, so I don't have a bet there either. But I would expect that Drake's run comes to an end here. Tough draw for them. They probably could have made it to the Sweet 16 in a different one, but I'd be real. I was not shocked they beat Missouri. I'd be shocked if they beat Texas Tech.
Great stuff, Case. We just ran out of time, so we're going to throw it back to the rest of the starting lineup. Enjoy the games today out in Vegas, and we'll do this again next week when we look at next Saturday's action.
Thanks a lot.
The charge of the spinning numbers, the excitement of the sound, and the thrill of the win. Playing casino games is something everyone should experience. Everyone has a chance of winning. But did you know you have a chance at winning big jackpots? Even former pro football player Icky Woods loves the excitement of possibly winning big.
Woo! I'm a winner! Woo! I'm a winner! Woo! And you can be a winner too!
Only at the Birmingham Racecourse Casino and Victoryland Casino.
Oh, welcome to the Legend Cave. I'm standing here with my great friend Kip Keefer. This is a special Legend Cave. We are actually filming this on Thursday. We are going to give you our picks for Thursday and Friday so you can see how good we are or how bad we are. So let's get into it, Kip.
Well, Legend, you got your private plane waiting to take you to Newark. Good luck there. Hopefully you can make it back.
Yeah, I got with Spy for Rent the other day. They're doing some new work here in the cave. We appreciate you, Spy for Rent, getting my security team together. But let's get down on some of these Thursdays and Friday games so you can see how good we are.
We are predicting at noon Thursday how games are going to go that you saw 2 days ago. So this is a little bit of a different segment. But we didn't just want to do a segment about nothing. We want to have some substance here.
Substance, baby. We're all about the substance. Alabama giving up 20.5. The Robert Morris. Does Alabama cover and advance?
Robert Morris is a formidable opponent. They've won 11 in a row and 30 games this year. I think Alabama wins, but I think Robert Moe covers. I think they beat the 20.5.
All right, me and Kip are in agreement on this first game. Y'all write it down. Keep up with it. Vandy getting 4.5 against St. Mary. Does Vandy advance on to the second round?
I don't think so. I don't like how they've played the whole last month. I think they peaked way too early. Give me the Gales of St. Mary's.
Man, we just think alike. It must be our beauty, brains, and everything that we
That's
got going for it. It's got to be. Georgia getting 7 against Gonzaga. What do you think? Does the Bulldogs see the weekend?
Love my dogs, but my goodness, did they give them a terrible draw. Gonzaga's the professional tournament team. The Dogs have no shot on Thursday. If you're watching this Saturday morning, I'm sure we can bid the Dogs farewell.
Remember, this is being taped on Thursday, so if Georgia's playing, we apologize, dog, but I think Gonzaga beats the heck out of you, too. North Carolina giving up 1.5 against Ole Miss on one of the most fascinating games possible
really
in this first round. Who do you like?
Well, I was distressed to see San Diego State be so non-competitive against North Carolina earlier in the week. And that's not because I like a couple Big West teams in this tournament, or I should say Mountain West. So that was discouraging. But I think Ole Miss has the personnel, and they're battle tested from playing all these great SEC teams. I like the Rebels.
I hope I don't have to apologize to you, Ole Miss, but I think North Carolina going to beat you. I done bet against you. I'm sorry. I don't know what it is.
Well, Lane Kiffin's not the coach.
Oh, that's right. I mean, Pete Golding ain't over on the sideline, is he? All right. Hey, a team that I really like, Drake, getting 6 points against Missouri. Does Missouri see the weekend?
Drake should be playing Kendrick Lamar, but I guess he wasn't available.
That's true.
I think Drake covers this game. I think this is going to come down to the buzzer. I don't like Drake to win the game, but I do think Drake can cover.
Oh, what's wrong with the legend? Is he SEC or Alabama? I got Missouri getting beat. I hope I have to apologize to you, Missouri. That's 3 SEC teams I done kicked out. I hope I'm looking crazy by Saturday.
Legend, with Texas losing, that kind of makes me worried because we thought top to bottom the league was so good. Maybe the lower half isn't as good as we thought.
Hey, how about Mississippi State giving up 1.5 to Baylor? Who you like? Do they see the weekend?
I like the Bulldogs. I think they're capable of going to the Sweet 16.
Man, I just have to apologize, SEC. I got Baylor beating you too, Mississippi State. I mean, I got the whole SEC getting knocked out except for Alabama and Auburn.
I just came in from
Kentucky.
the cold, and I got to give you my
I know. I mean, what's going on? Is the SEC overrated according to the legend?
Legend and SEC turncoat.
Oh, Lord, I done dropped my paper, too. Hold on, Kim. Hold on. Don't step on me. Don't step on me. I'm spitting. Hold up, Monty Ballard. Give me a paper towel. All right. Oklahoma plus 5.5 against the defending champ, UConn. Does Oklahoma see the weekend?
That freshman emerged in the SEC tournament, Fears. He was like Michael Jordan Jr. I think they give UConn trouble. I'll take those points.
Man, I don't know what it is, man.
He's going with UConn.
I don't know, but I'm going with UConn, SEC. That's what I think about it. The SEC's overrated, except for the top teams. Remember, Legend told you that. And remember, it's just a game. Don't be like the great Kipper and the Legend.
Sports insane.
Welcome back to the starting lineup. I'm Tony Curry, along with Kai Gregory from SPS Southern Precision Staffing. We could not do it without you. And, of course, we bring you in on this show, what was it, a year and a half ago? And you end up going 9-0. We give him 7 games. He brings 2 of his own. He goes 9-0. From that point on, I said, you know what? We need to have a gambling site. We need to go pick some ball games. So we have Case, who, of course, is out there in Las Vegas. We have Kip Keefer, who's been on fire in the SEC. We got a man who's played both sides for his entire life, and of course you got me who's done some sports radio, so I just kind of bring up the rear end a little bit. It is called K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com. It's a free site. Check it out. All of our plays are up. Please subscribe. Go to K4Wins.com. Kai, you put most of this place up there, but in your real time, you're doing this thing called Southern Precision Staffing, and I know you guys have stayed super busy. You've been on with us for 2 years. We love you. You guys do wonderful work. 205-682-2828. 205-682-2828, where your word and your handshake means something. Talk about what you guys do.
Well, and anybody that wants to ever apply, you can always go online to www.sps9.com and apply there. Right now, we're looking for
One more time.
www.sps9.com.
Okay.
And right now we're really looking for fitters and welders and sheet metal mechanics in Birmingham. Have a huge project going on in Birmingham. It's going to last through the end of the year, so we're really looking for guys for that. Right in downtown Birmingham, we're looking for some sheet metal mechanics in Jacksonville, and we've got some other projects coming up. Jacksonville State, sorry. We've got some other projects coming up in the southeast where we're going to be traveling a lot. So love it. We kind of stick to the mechanical, the electrical, and the piping and plumbing side of the jobs. But all of our guys we're a skilled trade solutions company. We're not one of those what you call temp companies. We're a skilled trade solutions company that's out there trying to help the construction industry. For those people that don't know, is the guys that are getting older are retiring, and not a lot of people are encouraging their children to go into the trades. And we desperately, whether it's working for a staffing company, whether it's going into construction and going to work for one of the larger companies, a mechanical company, a construction company, they desperately need people to join the construction trades.
For the most part, you get out of high school these days, and I tell my kids the same thing. Within 2 or 3 years, you're making 6 figures if you're into the trade business, and particularly with SPS or the precision staffing, to give you an out, to give you an opportunity to either start your career or further your career and make some great money. It's a great way to go. 205-682-2828. Also want to thank, of course, the Woodhouse Day Spa, birmingham.woodhousespas.com, birmingham.woodhousespas.com. Our good friend Stuart Rome. We do a show called When in Rome on Tony Curry Radio. It's hilarious. It's fantastic. He's wonderful. And of course, Spy for Rent. Spy, the number 4 Rent. We have a lot of 4s around here.
I've
Spy for Rent. Yeah, Spy for Rent. Yeah, I've used them as well. Kip's used them. Spy for Rent. Surveillance, bug sweeps, lawsuits, fraudulent stuff, you name it, divorces, whatever it is, child custody. Check out Spy for Rent, spyforrent.com. Who do you have in your Final Four, by the way? We have not gone over some of these plays, and I know a lot of people. See, I always say it's better to be smart and boring than dumb and exciting. I could pick a 16 over a 1 seed, and if I win for about 2 hours, I'm going to run up and down the hallway and tell everyone I'm number 1 until the next game they play, and then I'm going to lose my, what. So I got all 4 1 seeds going in. It will only be the second time in the history of the tournament that all 4 1 seeds make it. The last time was 2008, and everyone's like, oh, he had to think really big there to get all 4 1 seeds. Hey, let's look at your bracket a little bit. Jay Billis, by the way, all 4 1 seeds make it as well. But what do you have?
Well, I was going to point that out, and way to go out on a limb, you and Jay Billis, doing that.
Hey, by the way, I did not look at Jay Billis's first. I did mine first. He looked at mine.
Well, like we talked about earlier, only 1 2 seed has made it, so maybe that's a good
amazing
thing. I personally, when all this started, I had Arizona beating Duke. And getting there, so I have them in the Final Four. But even being a Tennessee fan, knowing and watching the SEC as much as I have, I just cannot go against Florida in this. I think I did 6 brackets, and I think I have them winning 5 of the 6, with Arizona winning the other one. I can also see Florida maybe getting knocked out in a potential, strong second-round matchup. It is very difficult for me to choose between Tennessee and Houston, because I do believe that those 2 teams could come there as long as Tennessee doesn't match up with Kentucky, because that's a horrible matchup for Tennessee. So I've got Houston, though, just about every time going in there. And then I have Michigan State, I think, in 3, and St. John's in the other 3.
The Auburn Tigers lost 3 of their regular season last 4 games. Of course, the Alabama Crimson Tide gave up 90-plus points 8 times this year, which is more than any other basketball team. They could not stop, defensively speaking. UAB, congratulations to the Blazers, by the way. They get a big win against St. Joe's the other night. They're playing Santa Clara tomorrow night on the West Coast. They're going to fly all the way to the West Coast for an 8 p.m. Central start. So all 3 of our local teams doing well, as well as a lot of other Alabama State, Troy, and of course all the other teams that are doing a great job. So super stuff. 205-682-2828, Southern Precision Staffing. If you're into welding, what else you need? Welders?
Sheet metal mechanics and helpers.
All right, give them a call. Check it out. And go to K4wins.com. K4wins.com. 67% on the year. You get all of our plays. It's free, and you can subscribe to our site whenever you like. Good luck the next 16 days in March Madness. Back at you next Saturday.